Hi everyone, so welcome to Learn with Israel YouTube channel. If you haven't liked the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So today we'll be treating JAMB biology practice question for episode 8. We've done episode 1 to 7 on paper, so we've upgraded to board for effective teaching. So let's start. Question 141. A thick layer of fat under the skin of certain mammals helps them to dash. A. Lose it. B. Gain it. C. Conserve it. D. Generate it. So let's start from generate it. It is not generated metabolically, so option D is wrong. Option C, conserve it, is the correct answer. A thick layer of fat under the skin of certain mammals helps them to conserve it. And the thick layer of fat is called blubber. It is called blubber. So gain it is also wrong, lose it is wrong, because this blubber helps them to prevent heat loss. So let's move to question 142. Coordination is achieved in the body of mammals through the actions of dash. A. Endocrine and nervous system. B. Skeletal and nervous system. C. Muscular and nervous system. D. Skeletal, muscular and nervous system. B, C and D are partially correct because they include nervous system. Coordination occurs through endocrine and nervous system. Endocrine contributes slow while nervous contribute fast. So combining endocrine and nervous is a good combo for coordination of the body in mammals. So option A is the correct answer. Let's move to question 143. The cells that transmit messages to effector are dash. A. Relay neurons. B. Motor neurons. C. Receptor. D. Sensory neurons. So let's start from sensory neurons. Sensory neurons carry signal. All these work together. Sensory neurons carry signal from the receptor to the CNS. So it carries signal from the receptor to the CNS. And what receptor is also an option C. Receptor are sense organs like ears, nose, they are all receptor. So receptor is wrong. Sensory carry from receptor to CNS, not to effector. Let's search option B. Motor neuron is the correct answer. The cells that transmit messages to effector are motor neurons. They transmit it from the CNS to the effector. So option B is the correct answer. While relay neuron, what it does is, relay neurons is an internal neurons. It is in between the sensory neurons and the motor neurons. Let's continue. Question 144. The part of the brain responsible for control of voluntary movement and interpretation of sensation is the dash. A. Cerebrum. B. Thalamus. C. Cerebellum. D. Medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata is wrong. What it does is that it controls involuntary action like heart breathing and digestion rate, while cerebellum deals with balancing and posture of the body. So it has nothing to do with interpretation and movement. While thalamus, what it does is that it does not control movement. And why cerebrum is the correct answer is that it is the part of the brain responsible for control of voluntary movement and interpretation of sensation. So cerebrum is the correct answer. So guys, let's continue. 145. The menstrual cycle is controlled by A. Ovulation. B. Gonadotropins and OH. C. Fertilization. D. Ovum maturation. So let's start from option D for the elimination. Ovum maturation and fertilization are separate processes. While option C, fertilization, we all know, is the fusion of male sperm and female egg to form together to form the zygote, which have nothing to do with menstrual cycle. Why gonadotropins and OH? I know some people will be like, is this chemistry? OH means ovarian hormone. ovarian hormone. So gonadotropins and OH is the correct answer. They regulate the menstrual cycles. While ovulation is just one of the stages in menstrual cycle. So the correct answer for question 145 is gonadotropins and ovarian hormone. Let's move to question 146. The food storage tissue for the embryo in the male grain is the dash. A. Embryo, B. Endosperm, C. Caruncle, D. Scutellum. I know some people like what scutellum. Scutellum is part of the embryo. So scutellum is wrong. It's not the food storage tissue for the embryo. While caruncle does not have anything to do with plants, caruncle is also wrong. For endosperm, endosperm is the correct answer. Endosperm store the food tissue for the embryo in the maize grain, while embryo is just the developing plant itself. So embryo does not have anything to do with, because embryo is already in the question. Let's move to question 147. A true fruit developed from dash. A. Ovary only, B. Ovary and ovule, C. Ovule only, D. Flower only. So let's start from option D, flower. Both option B, C and D all develop from false fruits. They all develop from false fruits. So the only option that develops from true fruit is the ovary. A true fruit develops from ovary only. But anything that has to do with ovule and flower, it is false fruit. I hope you now understand the difference between true fruit and false fruit. So let's move to question 148. An example of a viviparous animal is dash. An example of a viviparous animal is dash. A. An ant, B. A hen, C. A lizard, D. A rat. Let's start from option D, which is rat, for the elimination. It's very good to know how to eliminate when answering a CBT question or when doing a CBT exam. It will give you a room to get the answer easily and correctly. So option D, rat, is the correct answer for the example of viviparous animal. A rat is a viviparous animal. So both A, B and C, both an ant, hen and lizard, they are egg-laying animal. Egg-laying animal. Why? It is only the rat that lay young ones. It gives birth to young ones, while ant, hen and lizard, they lay eggs. So for ant, hen and lizard to lay eggs, that means they are oviparous. Oviparous. So you can now differentiate between oviparous and viviparous. Oviparous animal lay eggs, while viviparous animal give birth to their young ones live. Let's continue. Question 149. The main force that regularly produces evolutionary change is dash. A. Mutation, B. Natural selection, C. Linkage, D. Genetic drift. So let's start from genetic drift. Genetic drift produces evolutionary change, but not consistently. So genetic drift is wrong. Linkage deals with genetic inheritance. Linkage has nothing to do with evolutionary change. While option B, natural selection, is the correct answer. The main force that regularly produces evolutionary change is natural selection, while mutation involves variation. It involves variation. Let's move to question 150. The yellow and black stripes on the body of wasp is an example of dash. A. Counter shading, B. Mimicry, C. Cryptic coloration, D. Camouflage. Let's start from camouflage. Camouflage and cryptic coloration, they perform similar function. They help animal to avoid predation without noticing the predator. So camouflage and cryptic coloration does not have anything to do with the yellow and black stripes on the body of wasp. So mimicry is the correct answer. So what are animals that possess yellow and black stripes? It includes tiger, includes zebras. Zebras also have that stripes in zebra body is black stripes, while this yellow stripe is found in the tiger. So counter shading can be found in fishes. Some are black while some are white. I hope you understand it now. So let's move to question 151. Spirogyra, Euglena, and Chlamydomonas share many characteristics except dash: A. Nutrition, B. Reproduction, C. Mobility, D. Irritability. Spirogyra cannot move, but Euglena and Chlamydomonas can move. Why? Because they possess flagella for their movement. So irritability, reproduction, and nutrition are wrong. The characteristic that Spirogyra, Euglena, and Chlamydomonas share is the mobility. If you haven't subscribed to this movement, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Let's continue. Question 152. What is the function of triocytes in paramecium? A. Movement. Is it for defense? C. Excretion. D. Reproduction. So the function of triocytes in paramecium is what? Is the defense. When paramecium is being attacked by other organisms, they develop defensive organism, which is the triocytes, which help them in keeping themselves from predator. So let's move to question 153. So question 153. Which of the following are non-green plants? A. Euglena, B. Fungi, C. Spirogyra, D. Angiosperm. So let's start from Angiosperm. Angiosperm is a green plant. Spirogyra too is also a green photosynthetic plant. It possesses chloroplast. While fungi is non-green plant, which makes option B the correct answer. While Euglena is also a green algae, but it is not a true plant. So let's move to question 154. Which of these organisms partly digest its food extracellularly? A. Housefly, B. Cockroach, C. Termite, D. Mosquito. Both mosquito, cockroach, and housefly digest their food intracellularly. The only option that digests its food extracellularly is termite, and it's not fully digesting its food extracellularly. It digests its food partially. That's why the question says which of these organisms partly digest its food extracellularly. So the correct answer is termite. Let's move to question 155. The most abundant group of organisms in the animal kingdom is dash. A. Mammalia, B. Apes, C. Annelida, D. Insecta. Let's start from Insecta for the elimination. Insecta contains 75% of the animal species, while Annelida, Apes, and Mammalia contain fewer number to that of Insecta, which makes Insecta the most abundant group of organisms in the animal kingdom. So if you are asked in your JAMB exam that which organism contain the most abundant group in animal kingdom, you'll be able to identify Insecta as the correct answer. So if you haven't liked this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Question 156. A reptile always lays its eggs on dash. A. On trees, B. On land, C. In water, D. In swamps. Let's start from D. Reptile does not lay on swamps, so option D is wrong. Most lay their egg on land, while fewer lives in water. So we can say a reptile always lays its eggs on land, because eggs cannot be laid on water. There are reptiles in water, there are also reptiles in land. True, but most is in the land and fewer is in the water. And a reptile always lays its eggs on land. So let's move to question 157. 157. A distinguishing feature of mammals is the possession of dash. A. Skin, B. Scale, C. Nail, D. Ear. Not all mammals possess nail, scale, and skin. A distinguishing feature of mammals is the possession of ear. All mammals possess ear. So let's move to question 158. Insectivorous plants trap and kill their prey to derive dash. What do they plant to derive? A. Phosphorus, B. Calcium, C. Nitrogen, D. Zinc. Zinc is wrong, it's not accurate. So option C is correct. Insectivorous plants trap and kill their prey to derive nitrogen. Let's move to question 159. The first stage in cellular respiration is called dash. A. Pyruvate, B. Glycolysis, C. Glucose, D. ATP. All these involves in cellular respiration. In cellular respiration. You all involved in cellular respiration. But the first stage in the cellular respiration is glycolysis. While glycolysis breaks down into pyruvate, and pyruvate later develop into ATP, as you can see with the explanation that all the options involved in cellular respiration. Question 160. The manipulation of gases in the mouth is known as dash. A. Systole, B. diastole, C. diastema, D. rhizoid. First thing you should do is to ask yourself, where does it occur? The manipulation of grasses, where does it occur? Does it occur in human? No, because human does not eat grass. It occurs in herbivorous animals like cow and goat and other herbivore animals that you know. Manipulation of grasses occur there. And what is it called? It is called the diastema. So the manipulation of grasses in the mouth is known as diastema. While rhizoid is a root-like structure for those that don't know it. Diastole and systole perform different functions in the heart. Systole pumps out blood while diastole pumps in blood. Systole contracts while diastole relax. So we've come to the end of the video. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay updated and continue to learn. See you in my next video.